I have never seen a strat like this before. I might have to start employing this when I start competing. That is such an interesting choice, but again, there's nothing really that, after that Vantage, there's nothing really that she can do. The Lady Blade was broken in Valentia, it was broken in every other game, and it seems to be pretty strong right here.
Hi, this is Eldervi, and I might be the winner of the first ever Summoner Duel tournament! I am also a very humble person. Still won, bitches! If you missed it, shame on you! Check out the Ward on Ghast's Twitch channel, which I will link in the description box. It was a 12-hour tournament, and watching it is worth every minute, I promise. So those who watched it know that I entered with a very special strategy and a very synergetic team, and I'd like to talk you through my team concept, how it works, which challenges I had while building it, and of course the payoff in the tournament. So, what did I do? Since I am mostly summoning to improve my Ether rate score, I am missing out on the most recent meta characters like Ascended Fjorm, Yuri, or basically most Kanto-able units. So going into this tournament, I wanted to use a team that resembles me instead of just having a mix of meta units. But even before testing, I quickly realized that playstyles like Gale Force would be very hard to pull off. So my usual cheesy level 1 Dancer Wings of Mercy strategies were obviously dead. Can't let a half-dead unit creep out right in front of the enemy team. Or can you? This was the birth of Valencian Palla, who has since the tournament become an actual meta threat. I'm so proud of my baby. Similar to most of my Ether rate strategies, I'm using the initial turn 1 damage from Winter Bernadetta's weapon Wrist to swap HP with a low HP unit with the help of Reciprocal Aid. While Ether rates usually needs a level 1 unit in order to get those HP blessed units below 50% health, a low BST unit like Legendary Azura at level 40 does the job to get Palla below 75% HP, which is Vantage range. 34 HP is actually exact Vantage range of my Palla. I gave Azura as much HP as I could in order to not waste a single point of bulk on Palla for the case I would have to tank a hit. And this is where the terror begins. Funny enough, I accidentally met Zeshado's menacing tournament team with my own on the day of the tournament. So hey, one more replay you haven't seen yet. Vantage by itself is nothing special, it's a strategy that has been used for years, but Palla is indeed one of the best at doing that job. With a brave weapon in both phases, it additionally deals adaptive damage, targeting the lower stat of the enemy's defense and res. Only very few units stand a chance of surviving. There are some. I have actually played a lot of test matches with my team in the early days of Summoner Duels, and I might have even battled many of you guys with it. I actually always use the exact same move. Swap HP, dance, smite into the enemy's range, kill, and see if I can survive. I realized that there are very common meta teams that don't stand a chance against this Palla, but there are of course units that can. I quickly learned that there were a bunch of blue units, Legendary Dimitri, Brave Hector, Nifl, units which are not too uncommon, that could actually survive Palla's double hit and kill her in retaliation, often with a charged up special on top. So I had to increase Palla's attacking power. Drive supports or things like that aren't worth too much in this game mode, where safe positioning is difficult and the captain skill Secret Maneuver basically renders any support useless anyways. Well, here is the first answer. Run exactly that. I actually think that all 3 captain skills are equally good, and that picking them should rely on the kind of playstyle your team has. Secret Maneuver is the go-to choice for teams that are heavily relying on their captain, as it negates every kind of support from other enemies, similar to Bremimon's unique C skill. With that, my Palla wouldn't have to fear additional bulk drives, or also passive damage reduction from units like Flane or Nifl. But this was still not enough. I had to actually increase Palla's own attack. Legendary Azura's dance is great, giving full buffs after dancing, but this goes only for 1 round. After that, Palla would probably be in the middle of the fight somewhere completely lost on the map, so I needed a global buff. Legendary Eliwood does exactly that. He gives bonus doubler and attack defense +6 globally to units in exchange for bringing a dragon unit. Which I didn't want, so I choose attack opening instead. But I kept the bonus doubler, cause what is better than +6 attack? Right, +6 attack times 2. With that I increased Palla's attacking power to 80 times 2, 64 times 2 versus blue units. What does that mean? Exactly this. Any unit trying to survive her needs a combined HP plus their lower of defense and rest stat of that number. Have you seen a lot of units lately surpassing 80 in either their HP or any of their defenses? Right. So with that in mind, let's hop right into the first match of the tournament day against Promise. Promise has a lot of good blue units which she uses a lot, and as I feared, she brought one of Palla's biggest counters right to the very first match. Brave Hector with a rest boon and special fighter would prove to be hard to deal with. As you can see, I swapped HP and put Palla forward by using her Kanto. Keeping momentum right in turn 1 is very important for my team. As we have already seen in the match against Zeshado, Palla may be unkillable, but her teammates are not. So I went for the dance, gave her free movement to cover almost the whole box, and went right after that for the very oppressive smite.
I can do it.
We of course have
Maybe.
Promise's legendary Claude in the mix. Going for the shove, interesting maneuver. Let's see how this plays out. Eldervi is going for the big time aggression right now.
What people might not know is that the players of the tournament choose their maps prior to the match per elimination. Making good use of the map is crucial, and I always try to end up on either Long River or Bridges, as these are the two where Palla can shine most. Bernie's smite does not only put me on a defensive tile, further increasing Palla's bulk, but it also puts a river between her and her opponents, a river which she can easily surpass, but dangerous armors like Hector can't. They would drown. But here you can already see the first big trouble for my Palla. As you can see, Promise was checking her range, realizing that Hector might be in danger, but his slow movement wouldn't allow him to get out anymore. So she actually does something very smart. She dances her legendary Claude, hoping that he may retaliate against the aggression from my Palla. And with that, knowingly or unknowingly, she actually saved her brave Hector from my attack. With 3 additional res from Chidori's dance, Palla actually failed to secure the kill against Big Boy Hector and his special fighter denying me my special. So I was in a stalemate position. But I knew that this wouldn't last for too long, cause here comes the last trump card in my arsenal. Legendary Hector got a crazy good remix, granting special cooldown reduction of -1 globally at the start of the first turn. This is crucial for this team. No matter which special you are running on Palla, it will always be a 2 cooldown in turn 1, meaning that you can't attack with your special during that turn. Losing that first round of combat would be quite a huge deal though, especially against units with better mobility. You can see it right there, my specialist Palla cannot kill Backdoor. But with the start of round 2, when Secret Maneuver finally charges up her special, I knew no one in Promise's team would be able to touch her anymore. The big thing about Secret Maneuver is that it actually procs after even pulse tie, so even though Promise had prepared her team really well, the odds were totally in my favor. I don't know at which point she realized that my Brave Vantage attack would basically kill everyone in her team. I did of course have the huge momentum of shock in this very first match, where you really don't expect something like this to happen. So I waited a bit, acting like I couldn't do anything, which I actually couldn't for real. Gave Promise a false hope of security, and at the end of my turn I made the aggressive move forward.
Again, it's that scary nature. And once again, that Palla is just commanding that center. She's like controlling the capture area right now. If there's no answer to this Palla, I'm not sure what Promise can do.
Palla would lose her additional movement for round 2, meaning I wouldn't be able to reach anyone if Promise decided to reaper out Hector with her last move. And then she almost caught me off guard. By ending her turn, she got momentum for turn 2, and with Ash's special movement ability, everyone in her team would be able to check their attack against me. I'm not gonna lie, I almost shit myself at that moment. Deep in my heart I knew I was safe, but there's always that last snippet of fear. So as you can see, I charged up my special despite the even pulse tie, and with that, even mighty Hector wouldn't stand a chance against me anymore. This little detail is something people may be overlooking a lot, especially special fighter armors have their best chance of dealing with Palla while her special isn't charged. After that, no chance. Promise's only chance would have been a hard push in turn 1, but she obviously couldn't have known that. She probably never faced a team like that before, and even if she tried it, I was holding on to Palla's action till the very end. There was no way I would have let myself get caught. You can also see a very important detail right there. People in the chat were saying all the time that this gets countered by Hardy Bearing, but look at Claude. 13 damage with a bow. That's effective damage. He couldn't have killed me even with Hardy Bearing. Legendary Hector does not only reduce my cooldown, with his update he also gave me defense and res +6 globally, and I still have bonus double on me every round. During training I actually faced a Hardy Bearing legendary by Lev, a +10 one I may add, and he was not able to kill me with a single attack, resulting in him dying anyways. Same goes for legendary Lilina by the way. She is for sure one of the biggest counters against this team, and I really didn't have an answer for her during the tournament, but there is one. Even Pulse Tie. By running Even Pulse Tie on Hector for example, as he doesn't really need his B skill that much anyways, you only need to stall the enemy for 1 turn to make that special vanish. And without that, legendary Lilina is as dead as anyone else. I honestly would have never done this, as it is kinda a stupid investment for anyone on a budget, but for those who can, it's an option. So I killed Hector, the only unit with the possibility of causing me trouble, and used Palla's Canto to go back into the range of my Asura for another devastating attack.
You'll understand soon enough.
And that brave Hector has now been wiped. And the oppressive range is going with that Canto.
Promise will play very well from that point onward, trying to catch some of my other units when she can't kill Palla. But here's the thing, Palla is my captain, so I will score an additional point each kill I make. By getting 2 kills in round 2, I secure myself a lead which is equal to killing 3 of my units. And with that, there was really nothing else to do. And so I won my very first tournament match.
By Promise's dance and movement again, that if she had an advantage for turn start, could take out the Eliwood and at least get on the board, and that's what Promise opts for.
Now, face the future.
Eldervi's move,
All right.
and the smite goes in, Promise's move, and that's probably going to be it. That's gonna be GG's.
Not a chance.
105 damage on that Ruptured Sky proc. Eldervi's move,
I wonder.
and that's gonna do it. What an incredibly clever build and synergy from Eldervi.
Some hours passed till I entered my second match against Zeez 4th G, and as before, I once more directed the map elimination to bring me back to this very beneficial river map. Going first is actually great with that team, but this is poor RNG and I can work with it either way. So I went for the exact same opening as I did versus Promise, knowing that the river would protect me from Zeez's most troublesome unit, Nifl. While her damage reduction wouldn't benefit her team at all, it is enough to save her from death, as you will see very soon. 18 times 2 wouldn't be enough damage to kill Neefel, who also ran a lull attack, making my bonus double useless. And to make things worse, Dorothea would reduce my attack by -7 at the beginning of every new turn. Chills are basically not worth that much in this game mode, as you can easily get rid of them by just using your unit, but they are a huge deal right at the beginning of a turn when the enemy is still in range. This is why I ran both chill attack and chill res on my Asura, making sure that even when the enemy has turn prior with Palla within their reach, she would come out on top of these fights. For this match, I obviously used my other trump card once again, Ostia's Pulse. As long as Palla would activate her special, that Neefel would be gone. So my only job during that match was to make sure I would never end her turn without a cooldown of at least 1. This was also the only win condition of Zeez. He would have had to sacrifice a unit against Palla, hoping she would activate her special and reduce her cooldown back to 2, to kill her with Neefel afterwards. Obviously didn't come to that. I think he knew that Neefel would be his best chance, which is why he put that brave Edelgard with that near save actually out of her range, as she would have crumbled, as she will later. But my special was of course already ready. When I got the chance to take out Neefel, I took it.
It's just a hard counter. No one really expects this kind of like out there team, but a Vantage build is going to be and that's just too much to handle.
See, 18 times 2, attack -7. Ostia's Pulse made that happen.
Just trying to assess what can happen, but I just don't think Zeez just has an answer to that Palla being so oppressive.
I'll handle it.
Palla is just assessing the risk here. Doesn't seem like there's a huge risk involved. Secret maneuvers triggering. Ruptured Sky dealing big damage against Niffle, and that's a KO on Niffle. Zeez's move, oppressed. Micaiah can't take her on. Turn is gonna go to Zeez first. But what can you really do at this point? Zeez is moving.
Where to?
Gets
Forward.
damaged.
What's the plan?
Gets damaged, gets KO'd. Is this GG's, folks? This might be GG's.
I wonder.
And Palla's gonna KO the Marth. Or KO the Edel. Pretty much dealer's choice. If we're being honest right now.
And with that, there was nothing else Zeez could do.
People might adopt this build strategy from Eldervi, because we're seeing he went to the auto battle. That's GG's, folks.
So hungry.
Bernadetta with the KO. And that's the nature. How do you prepare for a team like this?
I'll handle it.
And that is it. That is GG's for
You'll
Zeez.
understand soon enough.
Another successful scheme, winning with a 14-point lead. And with that, I found myself in the winners final against Marbelsodas.
All right, everyone, we're getting ready for the for this match, this winners finals match. And we're going to get started with Eldervi, the Palla God, and Marbles, the big brain strats with the Veld.
Ninian's even pulse tie wouldn't matter to me, as we've seen before, and even Duo Alphonse with his big defenses wouldn't be able to survive my attack. So while his team didn't have an answer to my strategy as well, you can actually see how he already adapted to my playstyle and made the right choice for his only chance of winning, targeting my backline. Marbles must be the king of adaptation, copying my Palla team during the ongoing tournament to get me with it in the next match. We actually misclicked during entering the first match and I saw his Palla lead, and I remember chatting, Please don't do that to me. He still did, so I obviously had to win this to protect my pride. We didn't lock in all 3 teams. I actually created my second and third team during the other matches as well, thinking that I wouldn't make it into finals anyways. But here we were. He started his turn by going in very aggressively against my team, leaving me almost no room to operate. For this match, I obviously had to deal with another very special menace which I didn't have to before, Weld. With his ongoing gravity, my Asura wouldn't be able to move for most of the time. I actually did consider this in my turn 1 positioning, making sure Asura was on the front so she could reach Palla, and even after doing my HP stunt, I only moved Palla 1 step forward so Asura would still reach her. Marbles did place a genius trap for me. With his Yuri still having a move, I knew that Asura would be dead once I entered that field. I waited for a bit to see what Yuri would do, but to be honest, in the end I decided to sacrifice her. She would be gravitied for the rest of the game anyways.
Does Marbles have an answer for it? No. He does have an answer against Azura though. Taking out the Azura gets on the board for points with lethality. Right, Marbles Yuri doesn't actually run Blazing when he runs lethality. But does anything have an answer for Eldervi's Palla?
As my revenge, I took out that little jumper over the trees. Flyers are great in this mode.
Palla takes down the dagger, takes down the Yuri, and the other 3 enemies. Yeah, he's gonna go for it. Goes for the quick KO on Yuri.
From there, the rest of the turn was purely about positioning. I had to make sure my units would keep up, as Marble's Earth rendering would slowly move the box into his direction, and I surely didn't want to lose cause of terrain points. So I took out Dagger with my massive speed Burnie.
Bernadetta takes out the dagger. That's another KO for Eldervi. I think it's one of those situations where does Marbles really have an answer for anything going on? 2 reds, a Ninian, and Alphonse. Is it just a matter of letting this match play its course?
Double Blade Sessions was actually my way of dealing with Brave Alm, a counter to my team which I knew about, and her massive plus 24 speed boost slayed through Dagger's Repel, killing her in a single attack. Turn 2 and Marbles charged up the Duel Alphonse. While I knew that he wouldn't be able to kill me, I actually tested my team against Duel Alphonse. I decided to be better safe than sorry. Burnie sadly caught the gravity now that Azura was dead, so she wouldn't be of much use either. I placed Palla so that Eliwood could repo Burnie, who could then smite Palla back into the action, which is exactly what I went for in the end. 1 round later. I was surely way too afraid during that game, but people have to remember that this was the winner's final and we played live. There was a lot of pressure and you really don't want to make that one stupid mistake. Round 3 hit Palla with the gravity, so I was not able to kill once again, but I needed to make sure not to lose another capture point. So I smote her between the trees to make Eliwood safely enter the box behind her, denying Marbles another capture point.
I can do it.
Goes for the big smite. That just might be it. A captain's kill is...
And once again, look at the damage. My Palla was heavily debuffed, so under normal circumstances she wouldn't have killed that Alphonse with 17 times 2. But her charged up Ruptured Sky made up for the missing damage. So Marbles had no other chance than to run, and with that we ended that very unspectacular round. I was once again unable to move first, but with my positioning in the round before, I made sure I would reach a target no matter what this time. And Marbles got to choose who he wanted to save.
It's just going to come down to, you're just going to lose units here. All it takes is Palla to get 1 hit and just really seal this win. Well, the capture area can't even go down anymore, so...
It ends here.
Pretty sure it's just GG's at this point.
He went for Ninian, and this was finally the end for his Alphonse, who he could easily take out at this point.
Just bringing him down as much as he can. You can't score any higher than this.
It's already done.
Yeah.
You'll understand soon enough. Yes. You'll understand soon enough.
Eldervi's move once again.
I wonder.
And that's a wrap for game 1, going to Eldervi.
After 2 more intense matches, I finally beat Marbles, making me the finalist of the winner bracket, and entered the grand finale against no one else than the real Phoenix Master 1. By the time of this match, it was around 5 AM in the morning for both of us, so you can imagine the exhaustion at this point. But this match was very important for me, as it actually made me face my biggest counter, Brave Alm.
Okay, everyone. This is the final round.
I won't lose.
Game 1 of a best of 3 between Phoenix Master 1 making the loser's run of a lifetime versus Eldervi, starting with their original teams.
This dude with his free movement and windsweep refined dong is one of the biggest counters for Palla. Chat early realized this, making comments all the time about how my team would lose against any Brave Alm. But for that, I have one thing to say. I have a team of 5 units, not just 1. I actually optimized Bernie's build to kill any type of Brave Alm, while I inherited a Lullatek dev on Ellwood to make him counter Legendary Marth. Didn't need a counter for Legendary Lyn, cause... Poor girl, even with the windsweep and effective damage, she wouldn't be able to kill Palla. Same actually goes for most other normal windsweep users without NFU. By limiting themselves to only 1 attack, it will in most cases not be enough to actually take out Palla. What people also might not know is that we actually played group matches prior to the tournament to decide who would end up in the winner's bracket and who would end up in the loser's bracket. In my final match against Pushi, I used this very Palla team for the first time, and they actually brought Brave Alm as well. Thankfully I was able to kill him with Bernadetta, making me win the match and leaving groups as the group winner with 3 wins and 0 losses. So here we go. The final match. Right from the start you will realize that I adapted my playstyle. I sadly ended up on red side again, but that can't be helped. I obviously knew that PM1's Alm would be a huge issue for me, but once again, this match more than ever before, I used the map layout to my advantage. By placing Palla in the river, I made sure to cover a wide area that Alm wouldn't be able to enter, while she was actually completely safe from his melee attack. This position does work so very well for Palla, or basically any flyers who do well against ranged attacks. So we slowly got ourselves into position, careful not to expose anyone. I knew that I had to do something. If I wouldn't get some units inside that box, I would simply lose this match through capture points. And my Palla and Asura were already outside of it. Apart from that, I needed Bernie to stay near the front in order to get a chance of sniping that Alm. What a struggle. The turn ended without any capture points, but the box left towards the bottom, putting my Palla out of her safe spot.
To get, and now the pressure is especially going to be on Eldervi. How are you going to approach when there's... I mean, you have Alm just understanding that anytime Palla wants to approach, that windsweep is just going to totally check her out. There's nothing really Eldervi can do about that, so that all offense that he was running with the entire time is just being super hard countered right now.
So while I was trying to get her movement back up, PM1 outplayed me for the first time. He repoed his Regan to the front, knowing that Palla wouldn't be able to reach her yet. At the same time, she was threatening both my Bernie and Hector, and would easily be able to walk out of danger after killing them with her full Kanto. This was a dire situation. Now, what I think PM1 might not have anticipated though. I have a lot of experience with my Bernie. I use her in both AR seasons with almost exactly this build, and I know very well about her killing potential. With the double blade sessions I have even killed Ascended Fioms before. And so, I took out Regan, well knowing that Bernie would die next.
Bernadetta can take out the Regan, and that's a captain kill. Is that something you want to run with? Knowing full well that Alm is right there waiting for it and can get back. Is that a trade worth happening? And that's the trade that's going to go down. Regan is defeated by the Bernadetta. And the Savage Blow as well. PM1, knowing what is okay, almost can get the kill with Gunthra, but Alm can certainly get it.
Much to my frustration, I was not yet able to dance Palla, which means PM1 could simply kill Bernie with his arm and step back out of the danger area. If Eliwood would have had Smite instead of Bernie, I could have killed Alm. But he obviously didn't, and so PM1 took out my Bernie and got back to safety.
Losing the captain puts him down 3 points, and now Earth Rendering can't activate anymore. Meanwhile, the captain for Eldervi is still active and still going to keep cooling down that charge. I think it's a worthy trade, and Alm believes so as well. Alm takes out the Bernadetta, gets that go back, takes 7 extra damage of recoil. Let's see what happens next.
Now, it may have looked like this trade was not worth it, seeing that my arm counter was dead now, but this little move was actually my first win condition. Regan was PM1's team captain, and with her gone, I put the Earth Rendering tour on halt. And this will be very important for the upcoming turns. This match was a show of outplaying and laying out traps. So instead of just end-turn dancing, I moved Palla to the front. Chat was outraged by that decision, but I did have a plan. First, by moving Palla in there, I made sure that PM1 had to dance Alm next. Now, he would obviously be able to kill her, so I needed to get her out.
He's just assessing what is the consequence. Knowing that Palla has that advantage and knowing that the biggest gambit here is going to be Alm.
Be careful.
We know what that exchange was going to look like. Alm with the dance here. And now there's Eldervi's move. Eldervi is going to probably reposition Palla out of there because otherwise it's big trouble.
Pivoting with Lecter was not an option, as Alm would simply bystep him, so I had to repo her out with Eliwood. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't calc that. I was hoping he would survive Gunthra with the color advantage, but she obviously outspeeded him. Ouch. This was surely not great, but sadly necessary.
Oh, this could be it. There's nothing really that he can do, because if Gunthra takes out the Eliwood, Hector has pivot. And then that leaves Palla exposed. And after that, it's just Azura and Hector. And Hector, there's no chance in hell Hector can do anything about Alm. And that might be the strat he opts for. The pivot, ooh, that was not great. Maybe there's an ultimatum there. Eldervi knows there might not be anything for him to do here.
Palla was still in danger. So, as the next step, I sacrificed Hector, laying out another trap. Alm was the only one who could still move after the turn. If he had killed my Hector, I would have danced Palla with Azura and killed the Alm. With that, the match would have been won. Even if PM1 just ended his turn there, Palla could have reached Alm with her increased movement. PM1 is obviously very smart, he knew exactly about this trap, and so he moved out.
Alm actually can't get this kill. If he does, he's trading and he's dying for it. He knows it too. He knows what Eldervi wants to do, and Eldervi is a very interesting. I would not have thought of that. I would probably be stupid enough to pivot, and he knows too. He's gonna bide his time. He knows that he is in the lead right now, And with all 4 in, he's actually going to get another point of capture.
But this gave me the opportunity to kill Guntra. Remember, I had already killed PM1's captain, and now I would take another kill with my captain. This put me in a 2-point lead, although we had killed the same amount of units.
That extra move though, knowing that Kanto 2 is there, let's see what Eldervi is going to do with this. Eldervi is going to Grey Waves Palla.
We can see this through.
He's still wondering about what the next interaction could be, knowing that I think showing a sign to us that he knows what's going to happen here.
I wonder.
Going for the Gunther KO. Ruptured Sky
Not a chance.
takes down the Gunthra. And the score is now 6-4 in favor of Eldervi. PM1's moving first. PM1 can't take advantage of any more capture. They're even Stevens on that regard. We're on turn 3. Fresh new turn.
With only 3 units left on each side, there was also no chance of getting any more capture points unless he killed one of my units, forcing him to a more exposed and aggressive playstyle. Things like that probably don't matter too much in normal fun games, but these are the kind of mind games you start at 5 AM while playing the grand finale of the very first Summoner Duel tournament. Next turn, and PM1 made indeed the aggressive move forward by repoing Alm. My Palla was once more in danger, but the map was still in my favor. As the box didn't move further down, I was once more able to happily hide behind the river while still putting out kill pressure on PM1's team. Ash's turn was gone. If he had killed my Hector there, Palla would have been able to kill him before Sigurd got to dance him out. So we were once again in this stealth situation, but I still had the point lead.
If he goes for that attack, and he dashes back 1, and Palla gets the dance, Sigurd can dance back, but that won't be enough time. Alm needs to kill Palla on his phase because he can rush through that wind sweep thanks to his weapon effect.
PM1 danced Ash, bringing back her repo potential, but I danced Palla, increasing her threat range.
Because if Azura moves in, this is risky business. I don't know about this.
The turn ended once again in a draw. PM1 had to go back while I moved back into the box in order to not lose capture points. But PM1 was actually not done and pulled off one last stunt, repoing Alm back into the threat range after I had already moved Palla. I ended my turn to have the momentum for the following turn, knowing that PM1 still had one action cause of his duo unit. It was my turn and I made a risky move. Too risky. 5 AM in the morning, guys. Instead of hiding behind the river as I did before, I pushed Palla forward. The problem this time was that Alm was already in range to attack me. I couldn't have gone for the same kind of playstyle as last turn, cause this time Ash was around to repo out Alm.
So here's what I'm thinking is, no, that's not really gonna work, is it? If he goes for the attack on Legendary Hector, he knows that Azura can counter back, and that's a risk that he can't take. If he knows that if he loses this Brave Alm, this match is over. But if he doesn't go for any kill at all, this match is also over.
I'm not gonna lie, the match came down to this turn. The pressure was immense at this point, and the ticking counter surely didn't help. PM1 could have killed my Hector in this turn with his Alm, but he would take another 7 damage from his A slot, and Azura was in range with a charged up Moonbow. If Alm dies to her, it's over. And this attack was closer than anybody back then thought. According to my calculations, which I remade today with a lot of time and no pressure at all, Alm would have survived her attack. With 3 HP. And I am not completely sure if I maybe forgot about something. Now try calcing in combat buffs, recoil damage, color advantage, special activation and damage reduction during a 60-second timer in the grand finale of a tournament that takes place at 5 AM in the morning after having not slept at all. I never got to check the actual damage of my Asura against his Alm, so we will never know how this had played out. I for myself thought she had it. So I can totally not blame him for not making such a risky move when he actually had another big ace up in his sleeve.
If he wants to risk that, he's thinking about doing it. It's coming down to 22 seconds. What is PM1's option going to be? He has 15 seconds to go. He opts to wait. Eldervi's move. Putting the pressure on. Can set up for a huge warp strat.
By moving the cow one tile forward, Alm was suddenly in a magnificent position to snipe my Palla, who was still not danced. I was once again pushed into a corner and had to make a defensive choice by putting my, at this point, meat shield Hector in front of Palla. And this is actually the move which made me win. Alm was blocked from going anywhere with his close call.
Alm can't, the thing is with that positioning is that Alm can't hit and run because he just hit and run right into Ashe and he's gonna stay there. But knowing that, he can be super ported, he can be at least danced out. He has 10 seconds to make a call here.
PM1 tried to follow up with Sigurd, probably hoping he could still activate his duel skill in the round after that, but the turn order was suddenly in my favor.
Oh, this could be big time. This could be huge. He could go for the duo effect. For the instant repo.
We can see this through.
PM1's turn. What's PM1 gonna do? Is he gonna go for the gambit?
Even if he had danced Ashe, she couldn't kill Bactor nor reach Azura. So he ended his turn and I finally got to take out Sigurd while once again going up into that very sneaky river tile from turn 1, where Alm would never be able to reach me.
Still considering, he goes for the end turn. This is dangerous. Because she can Kanto back into safety.
I'll handle it.
Goes for the Sigurd KO.
You'll go no
I don't know if that
further.
was an attempted dance or a finger slip or something. But that's dangerous. Goes out. PM1 has to start making huge moves now. Oh no.
What's next?
Goes for the...
With Ashe still blocking his close call escape route in the turn after that, and Ashe also not being able to take out either Azura or Hector herself, the match was finally over in turn 5, and Palla emerged victorious over her biggest counter in a breathtaking final match.
If Alm's gone,
Stand ready.
he knows what's gonna punish right after that. He's down 5. He needs to get at least 3 kills, in fact, or at least 1 kill and a capture. Even more so, actually. He needs to do a lot to actually win this game now. I don't even think it's winnable, because he's down 4-9. Last turn. I think this is checkmate. I don't know what else he can do. He can't get 6 points. Eldervi.
Which one's mine?
Goes for the wait because he knows there's not enough points to be get on this map. And you can't just opt for the kill. It doesn't really matter anymore. You don't have your dancer anymore.
Stand ready.
You can move up. He has to just make his choice. Eldervi's turn. Can't get any capture bonuses either. And even if he
Already
did,
done. I'm with you.
yeah, that's GG's for game
Sure,
1.
okay?
Eldervi actually defeats PM1 in a very, very tense game 1.
I wonder. You'll go no further.
And after also winning the second match against PM1, I ended up being the winner of the very first Summoner Duel, which I couldn't be more happy about.
And that's the game. That's game 1 goes to Eldervi. That was an intense match. Very incredibly smart plays being thrown everywhere.
I entered this tournament with a non-meta team built out of 4 of my favorite units. And Bernie. The Shade. That totally resembles my favorite playstyle, and made it to the grand finale by convincingly beating 3 very strong opponents, and finally surpassed this team's biggest counter, played by one of the best players this game has to offer in a show-worthy final full of baits and mind games. I couldn't have hoped for anything more. I went into this tournament wanting to showcase a team with great synergy, which I was very proud of, and I never once imagined winning the whole thing, nor impacting the meta as much as I apparently did. This experience was awesome, and I wanna say a huge thanks to Gast for organizing this event and to everyone who participated. People may not realize this, but there is a lot of pressure involved while playing these matches, and actions that seem very logical while sitting conveniently in a chair watching from afar are far from obvious for the player who has to actually handle all the pressure. I think I had to pee between every single match, making this Oktoberfest level of peeing, and I felt like throwing up on multiple occasions during that day. So be nice to your local VTubers, we went through a lot to make this tournament happen. I actually haven't touched the game mode ever since the final, and I think I will still need some days or weeks to recover from everything. In the meantime, let's go back to slaying whales. So hope you enjoyed this analysis, this commentary, and see you soon.